The pot rose sits untouched on my plate as Mother circles the dining table, topping off water glasses with practiced precision. Sunday dinner at the Phillips household unfolds with its usual choreography. Crystal goblets catching light from the chandelier. The heirloom china gleaming against the dark wooden table that's witnessed 3 decades of family tensions disguised as togetherness. Father checks his watch. Naomi should be here by now. You know your sister, Mother says, her eyes flicking toward me. Always running on her own schedule. I nod, not trusting my voice. Every Sunday since my promotion, I've shown up for these dinners hoping something might change, that my parents might finally see me, really see me, without comparing me to their perfect younger daughter. The front door swings open, followed by the familiar click of heels on hardwood. Naomi sweeps in, wind-bee blown, and laughing, her entire body projecting the carefree confidence that comes from never facing consequences. Sorry I'm late. She tosses her purse onto the sideboard, narrowly missing Mother's prized crystal bowl. My stomach tightens when I notice what dangles from her finger. A keyring with a distinctive cobalt leather tag. My keyring to my car. Father beams. Did the interview go well? Seemed to. Naomi drops into her chair. The manager said I had excellent qualifications. Of course you did. Mother says, serving her a generous portion. We're just glad you had reliable transportation today. The room tilts slightly. I set down my fork with deliberate care, the sterling silver making a soft clink against bone china. Did you take my car without asking me? My voice emerges low and measured, each word carefully placed. Naomi rolls her eyes, twirling the keys before tossing them beside her water glass. Oh, please. It's just sitting in your garage most days anyway. That's not an answer. Father's face hardens. Family helps family, Addison. Naomi needed to make a good impression today. My mind flashes to this morning, reaching for my spare keys on the hook by the door, finding the peg empty. I'd assumed I'd misplaced them, never imagining someone would simply take them. You could have asked, I say. Mother's smile tightens. Honestly, darling, it's not as if you were using it. The familiar dismissal stings, but this time, beneath the sting, lies something darker. A slow burning fury I rarely allow myself to feel. 3 months ago, I stood in a boardroom, wearing my best charcoal suit, presenting the culmination of 18 months of work. 8 men in similar suits stared back, skepticism gradually giving way to grudging respect as I walked them through the proposal. When the final signature hit the contract, $3.5 million, I knew exactly what I would do with my commission. The dealership had called it Midnight Blue. Though under certain light it seemed almost black leather seats that smelled like possibility. The salesman's surprise when I paid the down payment without hesitation, without a husband or father beside me to approve the purchase. First thing I've ever owned that wasn't used or discounted. I told Linda over celebratory drinks, showing her pictures of my new sedan. I earned every inch of it. Now Naomi studies her nails, oblivious to what she's taken. Not just a car, the physical proof that I finally escaped the shadow of family expectations. I've been meaning to ask, Naomi says, cutting into her meat. Could I borrow it again next weekend? There's this networking event in Boulder, and no. The word emerges before I can soften it. Mother's fork pauses midway to her mouth. Addison, don't be selfish. There it is, the familiar pattern. Naomi takes. I sacrifice. My parents referee always, ruling in her favor. You have your own car. I say that old thing. Come on. I'm trying to make connections here. Father sets down his napkin. Your sister is trying to get her career started. The least you could do is help. My career started with student loans and 2 jobs without family connections or borrowed luxury. But saying so would only label me bitter jealous of my sister's effortless charm. The story never changes, only the details. By the way, Naomi adds, spearing a carrot, some idiot in a parking lot scratched the passenger door. Nothing major. My phone buzzes in my pocket. Then again and again. I slip it out, breaking Mother's no phones at dinner rule, and feel my blood freeze. 6 notifications from colleagues. All variations of the same message. Beautiful car. When did your parents buy it? I open Instagram, and there it is. Naomi posed beside my midnight blue sedan, manicured hands split across the hood, her smile wide and proud. The caption reads, "Thanks Mom and Dad for the amazing gift. Blessed new car family support." 23 likes, 4 comments from mutual friends. Posted 2 hours ago. I set my phone on the table screen up so they can all see it. The room goes still. We need to talk about boundaries. I say, my voice steady, despite the rage building behind my ribs. The time for sacrifice has ended. Father waves his hand dismissively at my phone screen. It's just a social media post, Addison. Don't be so sensitive. She just wants to feel successful like her big sister. Mother chimes in, dabbing her napkin at the corner of her mouth. Is that so terrible? I look at Naomi waiting. Her shoulders rise and fall in a practiced shrug. I'll delete it if it's that big a deal, she says, not meeting my eyes. But everyone already saw it. So what's the point? The casualness in her voice makes my skin burn. I take a slow breath, keeping my tone even. Show me the scratch. What on my car? The scratch you mentioned. I want to see it. 2 minutes later, we stand in the driveway. The scratch isn't just a scratch. It's a foot-long scrape with traces of red paint embedded in the midnight blue surface. Not from a parking lot. From a fire hydrant. You sideswiped a fire hydrant. The words taste like metal in my mouth. Were you texting while driving? Naomi's eyes dart toward the house where our parents wait. Does it matter? Insurance will cover it. My insurance? My premiums. Back inside. I scroll through my phone, heart pounding harder with each swipe. Not just one post. 5, spanning 2 weeks. Naomi at a restaurant valet stand. Naomi at a country club. Naomi showing off her new car to friends outside an upscale bar. My mind flashes back to high school. Me at 17 opening the thin envelope from Stanford. Full academic scholarship. Mom glancing up briefly from preparing Naomi's sweet 16 party. That's nice, honey. Can you hang these streamers 2 hours later? Dad rolling into the driveway with a red Volkswagen keys dangling. Happy birthday, princess. Naomi squealing while I tape decorations for a party I wasn't invited to join. College years spent working the campus bookstore mornings, waiting tables, nights parents. Contributions $600 per semester for books. Meanwhile, Naomi cycling through 3 different universities fully funded before dropping out completely. College isn't for everyone, Mom said, patting Naomi's hand. My sweaters disappearing from my closet. My jewelry borrowed, never returned. My first apartment's spare key suddenly missing after Naomi stopped by to see the place. The pattern stretches back through decades, visible now with painful clarity. I place my phone face up on the table and stand. The dining room falls silent as I rise to my full height, suddenly aware of how I tower over my seated family. This car, I say, my voice quieter than I expect, represents the first major purchase I made for myself with money I earned from a job I've worked 80-hour weeks to excel at. Mother's eyes fill with tears. Father's jaw clenches. I paid for my college. I paid for my apartment. I paid for every single thing I own. Each sentence lands like a footstep advancing slowly across unstable ground. After the Miller contract closed, I chose that car because for once I wanted something that wasn't secondhand, something that represented what I'd accomplished without anyone's help. Naomi examines her nails, but I catch the flicker of resentment in her eyes. And you took it without asking, then lied about who bought it. Mother's tears spill over, transforming quickly to indignation. After all we've done for you, this is how you repay us, with accusations and ingratitude. My phone buzzes again. Jessica, from accounting. Beautiful car. In the post. When did your parents buy it? Must be nice having such generous support. Jessica, who witnessed me stay late every night for 18 months building the Miller proposal. Who brought me coffee during the final presentation, who celebrated with cheap champagne when the contract finally closed. I think about my boss Tom walking me to the parking lot the day after I bought the car. His approving nod as he circled it. You earned every inch of that luxury. Phillips, nobody handed you anything. At work, respect acknowledgement of effort, recognition of achievement. At home, dismissal entitlement theft dressed as sharing. I reach for my purse with deliberate calm, slinging it over my shoulder. Don't walk away from this table, young lady. Father's voice carries the authority that once made me freeze. We're not finished discussing this. Actually, we are. I move toward the door. What are you going to do, Call? The police on your own sister Naomi challenges, leaning back in her chair with familiar confidence. The confidence of someone who's never faced consequences. I pause at the threshold, turning to face them one last time. 3 faces, 3 versions of the same expectation that I'll bend as I always have. No, I say, fingers tight around my keys. I'm going to do something much more effective. The door closes behind me with a soft click punctuating my final word like a period at the end of a very long sentence. Later that night, my reflection catches in the window as I pace my downtown apartment. 8 steps from wall to wall. Turn. Repeat. Through the glass, 12 floors below, my midnight blue sedan sits in the parking lot. The scratch on its passenger door visible even from this height. An ugly gash, marring the perfect finish. I stop mid-stride, hands balled into fists at my sides. The memory of Naomi tossing my keys onto the dining table burns fresh in my mind. Her casual disregard, my parents' dismissive defense. A family choreography I've danced to my entire life. My desk stands in stark contrast to my restless movement, meticulously organized, each item in its assigned place. Award plaques line the back edge. Regional sales leader 3 years running. The framed photo of me shaking hands with the CEO after closing the Westridge account. The crystal paper commemorating my 5-year anniversary with the company. Achievements earned through persistent strategy and sacrifice. Unlike that car, unlike anything my sister has ever possessed. I stop at the window, press my fingertips against the cool glass, and stare at the vehicle below. The realization blooms slowly then, with sudden clarity, I've been approaching this all wrong. If my family refuses to respect my boundaries, perhaps the solution isn't trying to make them understand. Perhaps the solution is to remove the opportunity entirely. I smile for the first time since that terrible dinner. Monday morning, the office buzzes with the start of week energy I normally find invigorating. Today, each good morning feels like an intrusion as I stride toward my corner office. Coffee in hand, briefcase containing the proposal I spent half the night perfecting. Addison. Jessica waves from the break room. That car your parents got for your sister is gorgeous. My husband's been looking at the same model. My smile freezes in place. Thanks. 2 steps later, Mark from accounting. Saw your sister's post. Nice ride. Your folks must be proud of her new job. She hasn't started yet. I say the words clipped. By the time I reach my office, I fielded 4 more comments. Each one stokes the ember of rage burning in my chest. I close my door with more force than necessary, the blinds rattling against the glass. My assistant Carl knocks tentatively. You have that budget meeting with Mr. Crawford at 10 o'clock. He pauses, studies my face. Everything okay? I straighten my shoulders. Schedule an additional 30 minutes. Tell him I have a proposal that will benefit the company. Will do. His expression shifts from concern to curiosity. Anything else clear my afternoon and find out who handles our corporate vehicle fleet. At precisely 10 o'clock, I sit across from Howard Crawford, CFO of Neuroke Solutions. I've spent 3 years earning his respect through consistent results and fiscal responsibility. Today I'll leverage that capital. I slide the folder across his desk. Before we discuss the quarterly numbers, I'd like to propose a solution to our client transportation costs. His eyebrows rise slightly, but he opens the folder. I've laid out the numbers with precise clarity. Current mileage reimbursement costs for sales directors over the past year. Maintenance costs for company-owned vehicles. Tax benefits of asset depreciation. Client impression value metrics. You're suggesting we add a dedicated executive vehicle. Crawford flips through the pages, his expression thoughtful. For client meetings and corporate events, I keep my voice steady professional. We currently spend an average of $1,245 monthly on reimbursements for the sales team alone. A dedicated vehicle would reduce that by 30% while providing consistent branding opportunities. He studies the final page. A photograph of my midnight blue sedan with a mock-up of the company logo subtly positioned on the door. And you happen to know of an available vehicle that meets our specifications, I do. I meet his gaze directly. Mine Crawford leans back, a smile tugging at his mouth. I wondered when you'd make this kind of move, Phillips. Sir, you've always been strategic. This, he taps the folder. This actually saves us money in the long run. Smart. Very smart. 2 hours later, I walk out of the legal department with the preliminary paperwork in hand. My car will become company property by week's end. A fair price, full tax advantages, and most importantly, complete removal from my family's reach. Looks like everything went well, says David Chen, my direct supervisor, catching me in the hallway. Crawford's already approved the expenditure. It makes financial sense for the company. David nods and gives you some distance from the family situation. My steps falter. You know about that, I saw the posts. His expression remains neutral. Not my business. But if this helps, you have my full support. By Wednesday, the company mechanic has removed the scratch from the passenger door, the expense absorbed as routine maintenance. Carl has rescheduled client meetings to accommodate the transition, and the legal department has drafted the final agreement. I stand in the underground parking garage beside Walter Jeff, the company attorney, as he reviews the documents. Insurance transfers effective immediately. Walter checks items off his list. Corporate plates will arrive next week. The reserved parking space is already marked. Sure enough, a sign now reads, "Reserved for client relations," in the prime spot near the elevator. The midnight blue sedan sits beneath it, freshly washed and detailed. A small magnetic company logo now adorning both front doors. You're sure about this? Walter asks, handing me the final paper to sign. Once it's company property, you can't just take it back. I'm sure. The pen feels substantial in my hand as I sign my name with a decisive flourish. That evening, Linda arrives at my apartment, balancing a bottle of wine and takeout containers from our favorite Italian restaurant. To corporate assets, she says, raising her glass after I've explained everything. Most creative boundary setting I've ever witnessed. I clink my glass against hers. To problem solved. What will you tell them? She dishes pasta onto our plates, the rich aroma of garlic and basil filling my kitchen. I twirl spaghetti around my fork, considering the truth that I no longer own the car. And when they realize what you've done, the anger that's fueled me for days settles into something cooler, more permanent. Then they'll learn what happens when they mistake my generosity for weakness. From my dining table, through the window I can just make out the roof of the sedan in the building's lot below. No longer mine yet, more securely mine than ever before. Sometimes protection requires sacrifice, but for once, I'm not the only one paying the price. On Sunday that week, the late afternoon sun throws long shadows across the driveway as I pull into my parents' house in my old crossover SUV. The vehicle feels comfortably familiar after 2 weeks of not driving it. The worn leather seat molding to my body like an old friend. I pause before cutting the engine, savoring the anticipation of what's to come. When I push open the front door, 3 heads swivel in unison. Naomi stands in the entryway, her expression shifting from boredom to confusion. "Where's the blue car?" she asks, her voice pitched higher than normal. My parents exchange quick glances, the kind they've perfected over 30 years of marriage. Mother touches her pearl necklace, a nervous habit she's had since I was small. Father's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. "I drove my old car today," I say, hanging my jacket in the closet. The aroma of pot roast fills the house, the same Sunday dinner menu we've had since I was a child. I take my usual seat at the table, a strange serenity washing over me. For the first time in years, I feel completely in control at this table. Mother serves dinner with mechanical precision, her smile tight around the edges. No one speaks until Father clears his throat. "We've been thinking about your situation, dear," Mother says, carefully arranging her napkin across her lap. Father sets down his fork, his voice dropping into what I've always called his corporate tone, the one he uses when he believes his word is final. "Naomi needs reliable transportation for her job search. The economy is brutal right now." Naomi adds, her voice softening. Every impression counts. I take a bite of carrots, chewing slowly. They've rehearsed this. I recognize the familiar choreography. Mother opening with apparent concern. Father delivering the verdict. Naomi following with her practiced vulnerability. "We thought perhaps you could add Naomi to your insurance," Mother continues. "Just for when the car is sitting there anyway. You work from home 3 days a week," Father reminds me. "It makes sense for the family." Naomi leans forward, eyes wide and earnest. "I'll be more careful this time. I swear that scratch was totally not my fault." I continue eating quietly, surprising myself with my appetite. The roast is perfect tonight, tender and flavorful. Mother always did know how to cook a good meal. When the plates are cleared and dessert is served, apple pie with vanilla ice cream, they're still waiting for my answer. The silence stretches between us, punctuated only by the soft clink of spoons against plates. Father shifts in his chair. Mother refills water glasses that don't need refilling. Naomi's foot taps a nervous rhythm under the table. I take another bite of pie, letting the sweetness linger on my tongue. For the first time all evening, I smile genuinely. That won't be possible. Mother sets down the water pitcher. "What do you mean?" I dab my mouth with my napkin. "I don't own that car anymore." The words fall into a moment of absolute silence. Mother's hand flies to her mouth. "You sold your new car already?" Another impulsive decision. Father's voice rises with an edge of triumph, as if my actions have just proven everything he's ever thought about me. I shake my head once calmly. I transferred it to my company. It's a corporate asset now. The silence that follows feels thick enough to touch. "You can't just do that." Naomi's voice cracks like a teenager's, her composure shattering. Father leans forward, his authority diminishing with each word. "What exactly does that mean? Explain yourself." Mother's eyes fill with tears, a familiar tactic that once would have filled me with immediate guilt. "We were only trying to help everyone in the family." I reach into my purse and withdraw a folder, placing it on the table between us. "It means the car belongs to Philips Technology Solutions now. I use it exclusively for client meetings and business purposes." I open the folder, revealing the corporate paperwork with signatures and official seals. It's already done. Naomi snatches up the papers, scanning them with growing disbelief. "This isn't fair. You did this on purpose." Yes, I admit, feeling strangely light. "I did. Can they just take your car?" Mother asks, looking between Father and me. "They didn't take it. I proposed the arrangement." I gently retrieve the papers from Naomi's hands. "The company pays for the insurance maintenance and even the repairs for that scratch. In return, I use it only for work purposes." Father's face reens. "You've always been difficult. But this is beyond. Beyond what I ask softly. Beyond protecting something I worked hard for. Beyond ensuring it's respected." The silence that follows feels different from any we've shared before. For once, I'm not waiting for their approval or dreading their disappointment. I'm simply present, comfortable in the decision I've made. I close the folder with a soft finality that speaks louder than words. Father's face reens like a summer sunset. The paperwork I've placed on the dining table might as well be written in ancient Sanskrit for all the comprehension flickering in his eyes. He opens his mouth, closes it, then tries again. "You can't just..." His voice trails off as reality settles in. "This is absurd." Mother reaches across the table, her manicured fingers stopping just short of touching mine. "Addison, after all the sacrifices we made for you, your father worked overtime for years to put you through college." I nearly laugh at the creative rewriting of history. $600 per semester. Mother, that's what you contributed. I have the bank statements. Well, we would have done more if we could. She insists, her voice taking on that wounded tone that once would have sent me scrambling to apologize. Naomi shoves her chair back with enough force to rattle the crystal. You've always been selfish, always keeping score, always holding on to things. Would you like me to keep score now? My voice remains steady, surprising even myself. The textbooks I bought you for 3 semesters before you dropped out of business school. The rent I covered when you were between opportunities last year. The security deposit on your apartment that you never paid back. The room falls silent except for the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. You had opportunities I never got. Naomi says finally, but her voice lacks conviction. 5 jobs in 2 years, Naomi. I kept track. Not because I wanted to hold it against you, but because I kept hoping one would stick. I turned to my parents, and you two enabled every failure. Every time she quit because a manager was mean or the hours were too demanding. You comforted her instead of encouraging perseverance. Mother's lips press into a thin line. Not everyone is built like you, Addison. No, but everyone deserves the chance to build themselves. You never gave her that chance. Father recovers enough to seize control. This isn't about Naomi's employment history. It's about patterns. I counter the pattern where I work, and Naomi takes. The pattern where my achievements become family property, while my struggles remain solo journeys. I stand up feeling oddly calm, despite the hurricane of emotions swirling inside me. This car was my achievement, earned through years of hard work. 18 months of preparation for that contract. Nights and weekends sacrificed. 3 competing firms trying to undercut me at every turn. I tapped the company paperwork. Now the vehicle belongs to my company. It's used exclusively for client meetings and business purposes. The corporate logo will be added next week, and the company insurance took effect yesterday. I look directly at Naomi. Even if I wanted to let you drive it, now I legally cannot. It's not mine to lend. Father's face darkens as he processes the finality of my solution. If this is how you treat family, perhaps you should reconsider your place in this family's future. The threat hangs in the air, its meaning clear. You're threatening to cut me out of the will. I ask, more curious than concerned. Your behavior suggests an unhealthy attachment to material things. Mother interjects, her therapist voice, emerging. Perhaps you should talk to someone about that. Naomi's eyes fill with tears. Whether genuine or tactical, I can no longer tell. You've betrayed all of us after everything we've done for you. The accusation that once would have devastated me now glances off like rain on a windshield. I've already received my inheritance. I say gently, you taught me to work hard to persist when things get difficult, to stand on my own 2 feet. That lesson is worth more than anything in your estate. Father flinches as if I've slapped him. For the first time in my adult life, I see uncertainty in his eyes. I gather my purse and car keys from the sideboard. Movements deliberate and unhurried. There's no anger driving me now, just clarity. I love you all, I say, meaning it despite everything. But love has boundaries. Love respects. Love doesn't take without asking. So that's it. You're just walking away. Naomi demands. I'm driving away in my old SUV toward the life I've built. You're welcome in that life, but only if you can respect its boundaries. Mother starts to speak, but Father quiets her with a hand on her arm. Something in his expression has shifted, though I'm not naive enough to mistake it for understanding. Love doesn't take, it respects. I say it one more time, the words filling the room. Then I walk out the front door, the weight of expectation falling away with each step. The engine of my practical paid-off SUV turns over with a familiar rumble. As I pull away from the curb, I catch a glimpse of them, watching from the window. 3 figures frozen in tableau, suddenly uncertain of the script. For the first time in 32 years, I'm writing my own. Morning sun catches the edge of my new executive vice president nameplate as I arrange the framed photo on my desk. 6 months since that Sunday dinner, and the world has rearranged itself around the word no, I finally learned to say. Through my office window, I spot the midnight blue sedan in the company parking lot, now emblazoned with our logo and featured prominently in our spring marketing campaign. The scratch has long since vanished, erased like old habits. Still admiring your handiwork, my assistant pokes her head in, gesturing toward the bulletin board where my promotion announcement hangs. The quarterly reports are ready whenever you are. Nod. Running my finger along the silver frame holding a photo of me beside the car, surrounded by clients after closing the Henderson deal, just thinking about distance traveled. Later steam rises between Linda and me at our weekly coffee meetup. She stirs her latte, careful not to disturb the foam art. So your mom texted again, just checking in. No guilt trips this time. I sip from my mug, no longer bracing for the familiar tension her name once triggered. Baby, Steps and your dad. Radio silence mostly, but he signed the Christmas card himself instead of letting Mom handle it. Progress, I guess. Linda squeezes my hand. Small victories. Jenna told me Naomi finally stuck with a job past the 90-day mark. The words emerge without their usual bitter aftertaste. Some tech startup downtown. Good for her, Linda says, watching my face for signs of the old hurt. I shrug. Mom asked if we could have dinner. Just the two of us. I'm considering it. The evening brings warmth and laughter to my apartment as colleagues gather around my dining table. Crystal glasses clink against china plates I bought myself last month. No heirlooms, no history, just mine. To the new product line, Jessica raises her glass. And to Addison, who's somehow convinced that dinosaur of a CFO to invest in innovation. Conversation flows easily without the undercurrents I grew up navigating. When someone asks about my family, I find myself answering honestly. We're finding new ways to connect. On my terms. This time the following Tuesday, Sarah hovers in my doorway, her expression mirroring my younger self. They're saying I don't have enough experience for the Portland presentation. I motion her inside, close the door. But I developed the entire proposal, she says, voice strained. Your achievements belong to you, I tell her, remembering every stolen credit, every dismissed accomplishment. Never apologize for that. When she leaves, I draft a company-wide memo proposing our new achievement recognition program. My fingers tap against keys, building something that matters. The sunset paints Denver's skyline orange and gold as I drive the company car toward the Westfield meeting. In the rearview mirror, I catch glimpses of who I was 6 months ago. Hunched shoulders, careful words, always yielding. The steering wheel feels solid beneath my hands. The leather seats still smell faintly new despite countless client meetings and company functions. The passenger door gleams flawlessly in the fading light. I slow at a red light, watching pedestrians cross a woman about my age laughing into her phone. An older man with a briefcase, 2 teenagers sharing earbuds, all of them unaware how something breaks in men's at once. Success isn't what you own. I realize, accelerating as the light changes. It's owning your boundaries. Some prices are too high even for family. But some lessons are worth every penny. Story 2. I grip the steering wheel tighter as the iron gates of my parents' estate swing open. The drive up to their Connecticut mansion always feels like entering another world, one where I perpetually stand on the outside looking in. The autumn leaves crunch under my tires, a symphony of gold and crimson that clashes with the hollow feeling in my chest. My charcoal pencil skirt and burgundy blouse are tasteful but understated. A deliberate choice for their 35th anniversary celebration. I know from experience that my mother prefers me to blend into the background rather than stand out. Before I can even collect my purse from the passenger seat, Eliza's silver Mercedes pulls up behind me. I watch in the rearview mirror as she emerges in a shimmering gold dress that catches the late afternoon sun. Perfect timing, as always. The front door swings open. My father stands tall in his tailored suit. My mother radiant beside him in pale blue silk. Their faces light up as Eliza floats toward them. There's our princess, Mom calls out, arms outstretched. Dad wraps Eliza in a bear hug, lifting her slightly off her feet. The guest of honor arrives. I step out of my car, smoothing my skirt. Mom glances over Eliza's shoulder, her smile dimming just enough that only I would notice. Veronica, you made it. A statement, not an exclamation. Dad offers a quick pat on my shoulder before turning back to Eliza. Sweetheart, wait until you see the decorations. We've outdone ourselves this year. Inside the grand foyer sparkles with crystal and silver. White roses and lies spill from oversized vases, their scent almost overpowering. A string quartet plays softly in the corner. Nothing but the best for Robert and Eleanor White's anniversary. I scan the entrance to the dining room, where a framed seating chart sits on an antique stand. My finger traces the elegant calligraphy until I find my name table. 14 far corner near the kitchen doors, 6 tables away from my parents and Eliza. We wanted to make sure you could network, Mom says suddenly beside me. The Hendersons will be at your table. They're always looking for tech consultants. I nod, swallowing the familiar ache. How thoughtful. She pats my arm distractedly before floating away to greet early arrivals. The event planner, a rail-thin woman with a clipboard permanently attached to her hand, corners my mother near the grand staircase. I move toward the bar, but their voices carry across the marble floor. About the photographs, Mrs. White, the planner says. We've scheduled the photographer for 7:30. Will that work for the family portraits? My mother's voice drops to a stage whisper. That's fine, but make sure we get one with just the 3 of us, Robert, myself and Eliza. That's the one we'll want enlarged for the living room. My hand freezes around the champagne flute a server has just handed me. The 3 of them, not 4, never 4. The waiter, a young man with kind eyes, notices my expression. He tops off my glass with a sympathetic glance before discreetly moving away. I retreat to a window alcove, memories washing over me unbidden. Thanksgiving dinner, age 8, seated at the kids' table while Eliza, just 5, sat proudly between Mom and Dad. Christmas mornings where Eliza's pile of gifts dwarfed mine, spilling across the living room floor, while mine fit neatly under a single tree branch. My high school debate championship, where my parents arrived during the closing remarks, having sat through all of Eliza's elementary school choir practice beforehand. The pattern was established early and never wavered. Veronica, the afterthought. Eliza, the cherished center. By 16, I had found my escape in dog-eared business books borrowed from the library. While Eliza collected ribbons for participation in various hobbies, she quickly abandoned, I drafted business plans at our kitchen table. A student concierge service. Dad had laughed, barely glancing at my detailed proposal. Honey, focus on your studies. Leave the business ideas to the professionals. That same month, Eliza's watercolor of our house windows, unevenly spaced proportions impossible, was professionally framed and hung in the front hallway. My Regional Young Entrepreneur Award collected dust in my bedroom closet. The doorbell chimes again. Guests pour in, gravitating naturally toward Eliza's tinkling laugh in the center of the room. I drift toward the edges, helping Aunt Susan find her seat, showing Uncle William where the restrooms are located. Veronica, my father calls, not quite looking at me as he passes. Make sure the caterers don't forget the special champagne for the toast, the VVV, not the Moet. I straighten my spine and nod. Of course, not a guest to be celebrated, not a daughter to be cherished. Just another set of hands to ensure the celebration runs smoothly. A celebration where I'm simply another face in the crowd, watching the real family from afar. 15 minutes later, after guests assembled, the clink of silverware against crystal quiets, as my father rises from his seat at the head of the table. His silver hair catches the chandelier light, and his custom tuxedo hugs his still athletic frame. He raises his glass, and the room holds its collective breath. 35 years he begins his voice carrying to every corner of the dining room. 35 years of building a legacy, a home, and a family. His gaze sweeps the room before landing on Eliza, his eyes crinkling at the corners. And nothing represents that legacy better than our beautiful daughters, especially our Eliza, who brings sunshine wherever she goes. I maintain my smile practiced over decades as he launches into a story about 5-year-old Eliza singing at their 20th anniversary. No mention of 15-year-old me, who organized the entire surprise party. The story winds through Eliza's college graduation, her volunteer work with children, her artistic pursuits. 10 minutes pass. My name never crosses his lips. To Eleanor, my rock, my heart. Dad raises his glass, higher. And to Eliza, the greatest gift our marriage has produced. Mother rises, tears gleaming, and wraps Eliza in a lingering embrace, pearls against gold as their dresses press together. The guests applaud. I join them, my hands meeting in silent rhythm while I stand alone. Across the room, Cousin Thomas catches my eye. He offers a slight shake of his head, barely perceptible, before looking away. Aunt Barbara suddenly becomes engrossed in her napkins. Philip examines his watch with unusual intensity. They know. They've always known. I exhale slowly, my lungs releasing air in carefully measured amounts. My face remains composed. CEO face. James calls it the one that reveals nothing during negotiations when millions hang in the balance. Tonight it masks something far more valuable than money. And now Dad announces a special presentation. Mother produces a red leather box from beneath the table. The distinctive Cartier packaging gleams under the lights. The room stills. Even the waitstaff pauses. For the true fruit of our 35 years together, Father proclaims, his voice thick with emotion. He places the box in Eliza's manicured hands. Something as precious and timeless as you are to us. Eliza's fingers tremble as she lifts the lid. Nestled against white satin lies a watch encrusted with diamonds that catch fire in the light. The guests gasp in unison. The Santos de Cartier, my father announces proudly. Custom designed, with Eleanor's birthstone at the 12. Someone whispers the price, $15,000, and a murmur ripples through the crowd. Eliza squeals, launching herself into our parents' arms. They form a perfect tableau of family devotion while I stand sentry at my assigned table near the kitchen doors. No acknowledgement of the daughter who shares their name, but apparently not their hearts. No second, box waits beneath the table. No surprise for the firstborn. When the applause fades, I slip toward the bar. Aunt Margaret intercepts me, her arthritic fingers closing around my wrist. Join me for some air, dear. It's not really a question. On the terrace, autumn air clears the scent of lilies from my lungs. Margaret settles her substantial frame onto a stone bench. Did you know? She begins without preamble, that this is the third luxury gift they've given her this year. First the spa weekend in February, then the summer in France. My eyebrows rise. Summer in France. She told everyone she won that trip. Margaret snorts. Robert paid for everything, just like he's been paying the rent on her independent apartment these past 3 years. Cold certainty settles in my stomach. The puzzle pieces shift, revealing a clearer picture. That explains why my Series C funding announcement disappeared from the family newsletter, I murmur. The same month, Eliza started selling homemade soaps at the farmer's market. Your mother called it a hobby update. Your $40 million investment round was mentioned in paragraph 12 below Philip Jr.'s soccer tournament. My phone buzzes in my clutch. James's name flashes on the screen alongside his message. How's the royal coronation going? Escape plan ready when you need it. A smile, genuine this time, tugs at my lips. I quickly tap back. Standing by. May need extraction before dessert. Uncle William appears beside us. Crystal tumbler in hand. His eyes, so like my father's, hold a softness his brothers never show when looking at me. Quite a watch, he says, settling beside Margaret. Almost as impressive as that tech prize you won last month. Shame they didn't mention it in the toast. Innovation Leadership Award. I correct gently. And it's fine. William leans closer. Bourbon warming, his words. You know your success makes them uncomfortable, dear. Always has. The waiter from earlier appears. champagne bottle at the ready. He tops off my glass with a subtle nod, moving on before anyone notices his special attention, a small kindness in a sea of orchestrated slights. Sarah, my childhood friend, catches my eye from across the terrace and makes her way over. She's aged well. Her familiar face a welcome sight among the polished strangers my parents call friends. I saw the whole thing, she whispers, squeezing my hand. Want to sneak out the back like junior prom? Before I can answer, my phone rings my assistant's special tone. Veronica White. I answer, business voice firmly in place. Miss White. I know you're at a family event, Alexa says, following our prearranged script, but there's an urgent situation with the Singapore client. I understand. Give me 10 minutes. As I slip the phone back into my clutch, the event planner's voice rings out across the terrace. Family photos on the grand staircase. Everyone, please gather in the foyer. The guests flow inside a river of silk and cologne. I follow, finding my assigned mark on the lowest step. Mother adjusts Eliza's hair. Dad straightens his tie. And the photographer positions us with practiced efficiency. I stand at the far edge, half my body already outside the frame. Flash click. Done. Now Mother says, her voice carrying into the marbled space. Just the three of us for the special portrait. She doesn't look at me as she says it. Doesn't need to. The instruction hangs in the air, clear in its meaning. I stand frozen as they rearrange themselves. Mother, father, favored daughter in the center of the staircase. The real family, the complete family without me. The photographer adjusts his settings. The guests watch. No one speaks. I remain exactly where I am, neither retreating nor protesting. As the final photos are taken, the image will hang in the living room. I know a permanent record of where I stand in the White family hierarchy. Nowhere at all. I slip away from the party when Mom and Dad pull Eliza to the center of the room for a champagne toast. I immediately withdraw to the father's home office, log into my email, and call my assistant back to solve the work issue. After 15 minutes of checking every chart, every slide, every explanation, we send the new proposal to the clients. And I want to take a small rest. My footsteps echo through the hallway as I climb the familiar staircase to my childhood bedroom. Just a moment of peace. That's all I need. When I push open the door, the air catches in my throat. This isn't my room anymore. Eliza's pageant crowns glitter on what used to be my bookshelf. Her college sorority composites hang where my honor roll certificates once lived. The walls, formerly a soft green, now shine in Eliza's favorite lavender. They didn't even wait for me to take all of my things before they reorganized the room completely. I whisper to the empty space. My fingers trace the outline of what used to be my desk, now a vanity scattered with Eliza's makeup. The shelves overflow with trophies from activities she abandoned after a month. Her childhood teddy bears occupy the window seat where I spent countless hours reading. I open the closet, the last place anything of mine might remain. A cardboard box sits in the corner, labeled Veronica Misk. Inside, my college diplomas rest beneath my Young Entrepreneur Award. My summa cum laude tassel is tangled around my business school graduation photo. Everything that marks my accomplishments. Everything that defines my journey stuffed away like holiday decorations. A crystal clarity washes over me. Nothing will ever change. I will always be the box in the corner, the afterthought, the chair by the kitchen door. I sit on the edge of the bed now, covered in a lavender duvet. My hand brushes something hard beneath the pillow. Curious, I pull out an old book. My grandmother's copy of Jane Eyre. My name is written inside the cover in her elegant handwriting. To my Veronica, a girl who will forge her own path with love. Grandma Margaret. I remember how Grandma would pull me aside at family gatherings, her eyes twinkling as she slipped me books, while Eliza opened mountains of gifts. Books build inner worlds, she would whisper, where nobody can tell you who to be. As I turn the pages, an envelope slips out, yellowed with age but sealed with wax bearing my grandmother's initial. My name is written across the front. The laughter from the party drifts upstairs as I break the seal. The letter inside is dated 3 weeks before Grandma died, nearly 5 years ago. My dearest Veronica, if you're reading this, you finally sought refuge in the pages of Jane Eyre. I knew this day would come when the weight of invisibility became too much to bear. I recognize the pattern all too well. Your grandfather's family treated me just as yours treats you, as though I were a supporting character in someone else's story. But know this, my darling. You are the protagonist of your own life. I have made arrangements with Mr. Abernathy at the bank. There is an account in your name only containing both funds and my personal journals. The code to access it is the date we visited the Metropolitan Museum. Just the two of us. This is not about money, though that will help. This is about legacy. You are my true heir in spirit, the one who carries my determination. The quiet ones observe, learn, and ultimately succeed where the celebrated ones falter. Remember, Veronica, sometimes, family is who sees you, not who shares your name. With endless faith in you, Grandma Margaret. The tears come hot and fast, blurring the words. She knew. All those years she saw what was happening and prepared this lifeline. My grandmother, the only person in this house who ever truly saw me. I reached for my phone, needing to connect with people who value me. 3 messages await from my business partners. James, how's the family circus? Remember our dinner? Reservation is still on standby if you need an escape route. Michelle, that acquisition meeting went perfectly. The board voted unanimously in your favor. You're a genius, V. Remind your family of that when they put you at the kids' table. David, we're all here when you need us. Your real family. My fingers hover over the screen before I type back. Grandma left me a letter and apparently an inheritance. I think it's time for me to stop waiting for a place at their table. Their responses come immediately. James, about time. We've been saving you a chair at the head of ours for years. Michelle, whatever you decide, we're with you. David, your grandmother sounds like the only smart white besides you. I think back to how they rallied around me when we started the company. How they defended me when clients assumed James was the CEO. How they celebrated every milestone with genuine joy for my success. How different from the hollow congratulations from my parents, always followed by, but Eliza. My jaw tightens. I slide the letter into my purse and walk to the wall where a family photo from my high school graduation hangs. I'm on the edge as always. I remove it from the frame, carefully cut myself free from the border, and place the small photo in my wallet. In Mom's dressing room, I spot Grandma's pearl brooch, pinned to a scarf borrowed years ago and never returned. I unpin it gently, feeling its weight in my palm before securing it to my blouse. Downstairs, I spot Mr. Abernathy, my parents' financial advisor, sipping champagne near the garden doors. I approach with newfound confidence. Mr. Abernathy, I believe we have some business to discuss. I hand him my card. At your convenience, of course. His eyes widen slightly as he reads. Veronica White, CEO White Innovations. He tucks it carefully into his pocket. I've been following your company's growth. Impressive work. Your grandmother would be proud. Yes, I say softly. I believe she would. The party swirls around me as I walk through the crowd, head higher than it's been all evening. No one notices as I hand my ticket to the valet. No one sees as my car pulls away from the house. In the rearview mirror, the lights of the party grow smaller. Tears stream down my face, but my breathing steadies. My phone buzzes with a text from Eliza. Where are you? They're about to cut the cake. I don't reply. Instead, I touch Grandma's brooch, feeling its contours beneath my fingers. The road ahead is clear and open. For the first time in 32 years, I'm not driving toward my parents' approval, but away from their dismissal. The empty chair I leave behind can stay empty. I have a different seat waiting for me at a different table with people who make room in their hearts. The crisp autumn air fills my lungs as I step out of my car at La Fontaine. The restaurant's warm, golden glow spills onto the sidewalk, a beacon after the cold shadow of my parents' estate. My hands have finally stopped trembling on the steering wheel. 40 minutes of driving with tears blurring the road had been dangerous but necessary. Some distances can't be measured in miles. Through the windows, I spot them already gathered at our usual corner table. James, Caitlin, and Robert, my business partners, my chosen family. They haven't seen me yet, but they're waiting. Champagne already poured. The matroness spots me before I can reach the door. "Miss White, we've been expecting you." His genuine smile creates crinkles around his eyes. "Your friends are waiting. Shall I take your coat?" Inside the restaurant hums with quiet conversation and the gentle clink of silverware on fine china. The scents of garlic butter and fresh herbs replace the cloying perfume of my mother's white roses. James looks up first, his face brightening. There she is. I slide into my waiting chair, the one that's always reserved for me. Not 6 tables away from the people I care about. "You actually escaped," Caitlin says, reaching for my hand. "We were betting on whether you'd make it before dessert." James lifts his champagne flute. "To the woman who built something real," he says, "while others were planning parties, you were planning the future." The words unlock something in my chest. My smile, the first authentic one of the evening, feels foreign on my face, like a muscle long unused. My phone buzzes in my purse. Then again and again. Let me guess. Robert says, eyebrows raised. The search party has been deployed. I pull out my phone. 3 texts from Eliza, each more frantic than the last. "Where did you go?" Mom is furious. "Are you seriously ditching the anniversary?" Screen changes to an incoming call, my mother. I decline it, but her voicemail follows seconds later. "Veronica, I can't believe you would cause a scene by leaving early. People are asking questions. Call me immediately." My father's message arrives next, his voice tight with controlled anger. "You've missed Senator Harris and the Douglases. They were specifically asking about tech consultants. Call your mother." I set the phone face down on the table. Not one of them asked if I was okay. Of course not. James says, refilling my glass. "That would require seeing you as a person rather than an extension of themselves." Another message from my mother. "Emergency meeting tomorrow at 2. You cannot escape this time." The restaurant door opens. A rush of cool air accompanies 2 figures. I recognize immediately. Alicia from marketing and Devin from our development team. "Did we miss it?" Devin asks, breathless, waving his phone. "The news just broke." My stomach tightens already. It wasn't supposed to hit until morning. James shrugs. "Someone leaked." These things happen. Every phone at our table lights up simultaneously. Then nearby tables, too. The notification catches like wildfire across the restaurant. Breaking White Innovations acquired by Stellar Tech for estimated $75 million. The calls begin almost immediately. Industry contacts former clients, college professors who remember my early ambitions, each one expressing genuine excitement for my success. The restaurant owner appears with a bottle of their finest reserve. On the house, he says, "My daughter used your productivity software to finish law school. Congratulations on your success." 2 more colleagues arrive, then 3 more. Our corner of the restaurant transforms into an impromptu celebration. "We have something for you," Caitlin says during a lull. She places a small, carefully wrapped package in my hands. Inside the tissue paper lies a framed photograph I've never seen before. My grandmother at my age sitting at her desk in the small accounting practice she built during a time when women were expected to stay home. Her eyes hold the same determined glint I see in the mirror. "Where did you find this?" I whisper, running my finger along the silver frame. "Your Aunt Margaret. She thought you should have it tonight of all nights." Later, as I came back to my apartment, I opened my laptop, the email to my family forms slowly, deliberately. No mention of the acquisition, no details they can use to make my success about them. Just clear boundaries about my participation in future family events. I left early because I needed to be where I was welcome. I wish you both a happy anniversary, but I will no longer attend events where I'm treated as an afterthought rather than a daughter. God. My finger hovers over the send button. Not yet. Tonight belongs to those who see my worth without needing headlines to prove it. I close the laptop. For the first time in years, the weight of expectation lifts from my shoulders. Around me, faces shine with genuine affection. No hidden agendas, no conditional love. Tomorrow will bring complications. Tonight, I'm exactly where I belong. The next day for the meeting, I choose the Meridian for our meeting. Deliberately, a sleek restaurant on the 40th floor of Hartford's newest skyscraper, floor-to-ceiling windows frame the Connecticut River-like artwork. A power spot. My territory, not theirs. Melissa, my executive assistant, arrives with me precisely 5 minutes before 2. Remember, she whispers, arranging files on the table. I'll signal when 30 minutes have passed. I nod, smoothing the burgundy silk blouse I selected for today. Armor, not appeasing attire. My parents arrive 7 minutes late. Mother's pearl necklace gleams against her cashmere sweater. Father's custom suit probably costs more than most people's monthly mortgage. They hesitate at the sight of Melissa, clearly thrown by her presence. I wasn't aware this was a business meeting, Father says, glancing pointedly at Melissa's portfolio. Just some documents I might need. My voice remains neutral. Melissa, thank you for bringing these. Before they can object further, the hostess leads Eliza toward our table. My stomach tightens. Of course they brought reinforcements. Traffic was awful, Eliza says, sliding into the chair beside Mother. Her eyes dart nervously between us. The golden child sent as emotional bait. Mother dabs at her eyes before we've even ordered water. Do you have any idea how embarrassing it was? People asked where you'd gone. Any family members noticed your empty seat. Father adds, leaning forward. The Hendersons specifically asked about you. The Hendersons, always the business connection. Never concerned, for me. I left after being excluded from the family photograph. I state simply the one Mother specifically requested with just the 3 of us. Mother's hand flutters to her throat. You overheard that. It was just one photo, Veronica. Don't be dramatic. One photo that perfectly captures 32 years of family dynamics. Melissa silently slides a folder toward me. I open it, removing childhood photographs I'd collected and arranged chronologically. Christmas, 1998. I place the first photo on the table. Eliza front and center. Me cropped halfway out of the frame. That was just a bad angle. Mother protests. I lay down another. My high school graduation. You both looking at Eliza while I hold my diploma. This is ridiculous. Father huffs. We attended, didn't we? The waiter approaches. Father orders expensive scotch. Mother requests sparkling water. Eliza mimics her choice. Just coffee black. I tell the waiter, who nods and withdraws. Eliza leans forward, voice rehearsed. I felt attacked when you left, Veronica. Like you were punishing me for being loved. The calculated guilt trips don't work anymore. I simply wait. We told the family you had work stress. Mother finally admits that you've been under pressure. People understand burnout. How convenient. I sip water, letting the silence stretch uncomfortably. You've rewritten my absence into something that requires neither explanation nor accountability from you. Father's face darkens. You have obligations to this family. Your grandmother would be ashamed of your behavior. My laugh surprises even me. Grandmother left me a letter and funds specifically designated for me alone. I remove the letter from my folder. She recognized the pattern when she was still alive. Mother pales. What letter? What funds? The ones you never told me about. The inheritance I discovered after her death. Father slams, his hand on the table, making the glacier jump. You and your business playing entrepreneur instead of joining a respectable firm. You think I don't see what this is about, attention-seeking, just like when you were little Robert. Mother hisses, glancing around. People are starting to notice. Success has changed you, Mother says, leaning forward. You used to understand family comes first. Eliza's mascara smudges as tears form. You always needed to make everything about you. Even my moments have to become about your feelings. Their tactics might have wounded me once, Now I see them clearly for what they are. Manipulation, not love. You're right about one thing, I say calmly. Success has changed me. It's shown me I deserve a seat at tables where I'm valued, not merely tolerated. I see. I place my business card in the center of the glass table. The embossed letters gleam. Veronica White, CEO, White Innovations. My company closed a $75 million acquisition last week. The news broke yesterday evening during your celebration dinner. Their stunned expressions would be comical if they weren't so sad. If you wish to have a relationship moving forward, it will be on new terms. Equal respect. No more exclusion. No more Veronica in the corner while Eliza takes center stage. Father recovers first. Now listen here. No, I interrupt standing. You've had 32 years to speak. I've had my say today. I gather my things while they sit frozen. Melissa follows my lead. I'd like a relationship with all of you, I say, voice softening slightly. But I no longer need one. There's a difference. Mother's hand trembles around her water glass. Father's jaw clenches. Eliza looks utterly lost, perhaps seeing for the first time how the family system worked and how it's now breaking. Congratulations again on your anniversary, I say, straightening my shoulders. I truly wish you happiness. Walk away without looking back, each step lighter than the last. Their silence follows me to the elevator, but for once it doesn't define me. The doors slide closed on their stunned faces, and I exhale 32 years of waiting to matter. My reflection in the polished elevator doors shows something unfamiliar on my face. Peace. I stand in my penthouse kitchen watching the spring sunset paint Hartford's skyline gold. 6 months since I walked away from my parents. Anniversary dinner. 6 months of rebuilding on my terms. The antique mahogany table gleams in my dining room set with grandmother's Wedgwood china delicate blue flowers against creamy porcelain. I trace my finger along the edge where generations of white women once gathered. The same table where I was relegated to the far end, if invited at all. Last month, when Father decided to downsize their formal dining room, I outbid everyone at the estate auction. The table came home with me, not as a peace offering, but as a reclamation. The doorbell chimes. James arrives first, a bottle of Barolo in one hand, a portfolio in the other. Latest projections for the mentorship program. He says, kissing my cheek. 28 applicants already. Women entrepreneurs who need more than just funding, I say. They need someone who sees their potential. Sarah follows with her husband, then my executive team, 2 college professors, who serve on my foundation board, and my attorney Margot, who helped draft the Family Therapy Center donation in grandmother's name. While they mingle, I slip into my office where grandmother's letter hangs framed beside my window. Remember Veronica? We choose which chairs matter. Her words guided me through my TED Talk last month, finding worth beyond family validation. The video already has 300,000 views. My phone buzzes with a text from Eliza. They're still talking about you missing Easter dinner. Dad keeps calling it another stunt. Our cautious reconnection happens in secret texts and occasional coffee meetings. Without our parents watching, she's finding her voice asking questions about starting community college. Small steps toward her own identity. A knock at my office door. Package just arrived for you, James says, handing me a small bubble mailer. Inside, a faded photograph, Eliza, and me at age 6 and 9, arms linked laughing on a tire swing. On the back, in my sister's handwriting. We were happy before they taught us not to be. I tuck the photo into my pocket and return to my guests. They've gathered around the table, wine glasses filled, conversation flowing, no one checking their watch or measuring their words. No subtle jockeying for favor. I take my place at the head of the table. My place not earned through manipulation, birthright, but offered freely by people who value my presence. To Veronica, James says, raising his glass, whose White Family Foundation just awarded its first scholarship to that brilliant girl from Bridgeport. To second chances, adds Sarah. I stand feeling the weight of grandmother's brooch pinned above my heart. To chairs that matter, I say, and the people who fill them. Later, as my guests depart, I linger at the empty table. Tomorrow I'll host again, place, cards already written in my hand for each person who chose me. Not out of obligation, but genuine connection. At the far end stands one empty chair. Not a place of exile, but a reminder of what I left behind and what I found instead. I run my fingers across the polished wood of grandmother's table. Now mine, now filled with laughter instead of judgment, with genuine interest instead of performance. The chair that matters most is the one where you're truly seen.